Welcome to the Hughes Group. Today I'm joined with the lovely Michael and the lovely Sasha,
Hello.
two of my besties.
Hello.
And introduce yourselves.
So my name is Michael. I'm a freelance hairstylist. Been hairdressing now for about 18 years.
Cool.
Worked in training salons and then I moved to London. And my kind of story is a little bit different to like most people. I started doing like modelling to begin with and then kind of fell into kind of working with like celebrities, photo shoots and things like that. So yeah, just a nice variety.
A range.
Yeah.
And Sasha, what about you?
I am a freelance makeup artist. I've been a makeup artist for 11 years. I started off working on counters like Charlotte Tilbury and Hourglass, and then went freelance about 7.5 years ago. Specialise in bridal, but slowly been getting more into sort of fashion and kind of dabbling in the editorial world.
Dabble.
Trying new things. And yeah, that's me.
Fun. Anything else you want to add? Want to say your star sign for all the men?
I'm a Taurus, which is the best sign to be a woman anyway.
There we go. So today I want to talk about the highlight reels that everyone see, which isn't necessarily probably what our job is most of the time. So I want to start off about the pressure to maintain an online presence, because I find it petrifying because I never want to post because I feel like no one sees my posts.
No,
so
we hate the algorithm.
I now stop posting because I just think everyone hates my work, and then but also if I don't post, I don't get any work. So it's a constant tornado in my own head of whether to post. But I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I feel it's the same, but where I work with brands and create content for like hair tutorials and things like that, I have to post. So I have to obviously post what I'm being asked to create. But then at the same time, for me, I try and inspire the clients that I want to get or the work I want to get. But then if I'm bored, then I change it up. If I'm bored of seeing the same stuff that I'm doing all the time, I'm like, if I'm bored, then, you know, who else is bored? Like, you know, are they finding it inspirational? Are they finding it educational? Do they want to book me?
Yeah.
And then it's just having a variety of work as well, with different hair textures and hair types and things like that as well. So yeah, just trying to keep that variety flowing.
Yeah, because I feel like for you guys, it's probably definitely you need more variety, because I think there is a massive thing where you look at certain people's pages and it's like very particular look, identical through the whole thing. It's like, is that going to look the same on everyone, or is it just how you guys want it to look?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think when it comes down to it, especially with makeup is such a personal thing. And to try and be different, I mean, in the sense of there's lots of people that can only maybe do one specific type of look, and that look might look lovely on that one person, but you do that on the other person and it just doesn't do anything for them. It doesn't enhance their features, just doesn't do anything. It's just basically what maybe the makeup artist wants to do. Whereas what I think it's really important to be individual, and every single client that you do is a different individual look that is tailored to that person. So with every single post, it's going to look different and not all the same. And also you kind of need to stand out from everyone else that is trying to do the same thing. If you're constantly doing a matte nude eye and lip on every single client that you're then posting, or every single model that you're doing,
I guess it kind of puts you in a box as well. Everyone's
it
like,
definitely
that's
puts you in a box. I think it's really important to obviously have a niche and a certain style, but also to differentiate can't ever say that word, differentiate yourself from other creatives that people can look and say, oh, they can do this but also do that, and not just be put in that one box to do the same. And I think it's really good that way that people look and be like, oh, their page is a little bit different to this person.
Yeah, because I know we definitely had a conversation when you created that blue eye look. You were so excited to post it, and then someone else had posted a really similar look,
and
you're like, I can't post it.
I had to wait a couple of weeks.
And why did you feel like you couldn't post that?
I just felt like, I didn't want to come across like maybe I was copying, or obviously you can be inspired by someone else's look, but if somebody has the exact same, not following, but you've got
similar
a lot
clients.
of people, the similar clients, similar friends, similar people in the industry,
Yeah.
and then they see that we have posted basically a copy and paste look. Obviously it's going to be a little bit different because we're two completely different artists, but if you were to post it on the same day, I don't want to be kind of compared to that person. They'll kind of put the two beside themselves on the same day and be like, I think I prefer this look to this look. I don't think.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of me being a little bit self-critical, but being compared to other artists.
So I think it's interesting for me in photography, there is a lot of people, we all are very similar because we use all the same equipment.
Yeah.
And obviously we don't shoot the same people because that would be weird, all being booked in the same job. But quite often, like when there is events, you do see a lot of us are working like, oh, it just all looks the same in a lovely way, because I think it looks nice cohesively.
No, definitely.
But I don't get the thing of like, oh, comparing, because I'm like, we know Endo, we're all using that equipment because it's the best equipment.
I just think it was typical that coincidentally the look that I had created was on a blonde hair, blue-eyed model.
It was hilarious.
And the other makeup artist had just done it on a blonde haired, blue-eyed model. So if I had done it on somebody that wasn't blonde haired, blue-eyed, then maybe I would have felt the need that, I could have posted it that day because it can look completely different on the different skin tones and just the different style and the different look. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't the same look. We definitely did do
similar.
different things, but it was very
similar.
It was very similar, and it was just a really big coincidence that we had just done it on the same day. Not using the same products, but it just looked very similar. And I think I want to be individual in that sense. And then if I post it in a couple of weeks' time, necessarily people do forget about things quite quickly. And there's constant new stuff coming out. If I was to post it in a few weeks' time, people would be like, oh, that looks cool. Might have seen that before, but can't remember where. Not exactly, that person just posted it on that exact same day.
And like going back to what Michael was saying, he was saying obviously he does a lot more for brands. How do you feel like for branded content versus just social content you do, like just with models, what is the importance of crediting absolutely everyone on that team?
I think it's really important to acknowledge everybody who's been a part of it, where I styled someone's hair for the Pride of Britain Awards the other day, and I was thinking I need to try and find the assistant who assisted the stylist, because I was thinking, well, I need to credit her because she was there, she was part of the team. It's really important because everybody was a part of the team, regardless if it was being there on the day or behind the scenes of everything. And I think it's just so important because it's acknowledges people for what they do, their worth, their skill, and potentially get some more work as well.
Yeah, because I don't know necessarily people do it to be like, I'm not tagging that one person. I think unfortunately it probably comes down to a bit of laziness. People get quite excited to post.
Yeah, excited to post, or then the same time it's kind of thinking, well, gosh, have I got so much to post? I don't know what to post.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're only human at the end of the day. Sometimes we do forget, but then at the same time, if I have been guilty for not tagging somebody and then I go in later on that day or something, I think, but that's, nobody's like followed me up on that. I've just done that on my own accord or whatever. I
think what's interesting is I think some people also get a bit hissy about tagging in the caption versus actually tagging in the photo. Because obviously, if you just tag in the caption, it's not shown on their feed. Whereas if you actually tag them, it's shown on their profile.
Yeah, I think it's hard sometimes because it's like, well, years ago we were told that we need to put everything in the caption, and then sometimes we need to put everything in the comments, and then we need to tag as well. But then if you are doing it with a brand, then if you have to put ad or you can't tag certain people, it is really hard because then it's kind of like, well, I was a part of that job.
Yeah,
I should be credited for that. But then I understand that at the end of the day that I probably I'm not allowed to be tagged or whatever.
I had a situation like that at Paris Fashion Week where me and a team had done a shoot. We were very aware. We were helping her with an ad. And she did say to us, I can't tag you because obviously it's supposed to be me doing it. And it ended up doing really well. And we all agreed to it. It's so fine. But such a bummer because we were like, just wish that would have flopped. Yeah. And like we loved everyone what was there, but I was like, why is it the one time where we agreed to do something?
It's always the way.
Always the way. Yeah. And I think that also leads on to about working for free. I don't think people realize how much we have to work for free just to even get a paid job, which is probably nothing. And then people try and push your rates down because they say you just click a button all the time. Frustrates me.
Yep.
I think I've kind of struggled with this over the years. I think especially when I first started out being a makeup artist, I did look, there's lots of people over the years that you come into contact with, and there's obviously a lot of TV shows which are going on, and if you get contacted to do this person and they say, okay, well, you're doing it for free, as a 21-year-old, I would very much be like, you know what, that doesn't matter, I want to get the exposure, I'm going to do it. And I used to do that a lot when I first started out, but in the grand scheme of things, did it actually help me? No.
Yeah.
It didn't. I think, okay, great. When it comes down to it, unless you've got a very high following and you have brands that are going to pay you for your content and you working with specific clients, but if you're just gaining followers just for followers aren't necessarily going to pay bills.
They're not going to book you for anything.
I ideally, especially back then, when I first went freelance, when I was just before I turned 24, I think, especially then, it was scary because I went from having technically a full-time job working on a makeup counter that was paying income that I knew I was getting consistent income every single month, to going to completely freelance, not having a set income. And then, okay, you do this one person's makeup and they say that they'll repost and they'll tag you, which is obviously very lovely and very nice to then obviously be credited. But at the grand scheme of things, I need money in my bank account. I need to be actually physically paid, unless this person is going to say to me, okay, you do my makeup for free this time, but if I get a job and there's budget and they get onto it, we'll bring you onto that and you'll get paid that way going forward. I think it's a very hit and miss. There's times when I do things for free, obviously in the sense of maybe building up my own content and wanting to have more activity on my profile and my Instagram, my TikTok, etc. But if it's not going to benefit me,
no, it's no point.
And it's not going to, these followers and these clients, and it's not going to be seen by the right people that are going to get me more work and more jobs, then no,
well,
I don't want to work for free.
A lot of people that just started out, I'm like, if you are going to be doing collaborations, which are very important, you need to pick them, because let's say, for example, I collaborated with someone. You need to look at what their followers are and who is actually engaging with their post, not even their followers. If their engagement is 13-year-old girls that love makeup, they don't do anything for me. Because these 13-year-old girls that love makeup are just going to look at my pictures and be like, that's nice. And I'm like, a like does not pay my bills. A like just makes me feel better that I posted today.
Yes,
that's
definitely.
all it is.
And it was always nice to get the likes and the engagement, but you want it to be seen by the right people for you to potentially, okay, this person might want to work with you, or it might lead you to working with another person, and also making friends and connections. I think that's extremely important when you do collaborations. But if somebody's just doing it because they just want to get a free job and they don't want to pay and they have all the means to pay, I think
that's the worst one. When you know someone can pay or has paid other people previously, and it's like, if you can't do it, it's like when I say about campaigns, if you can't do it with the right team, don't do it.
No, definitely.
But you need to be budgeting better within your company to be doing it. But I also only found out recently the amount of people that I know that go on to shoots and they're like, yeah, I'm working for free. They're not. They're getting sponsored. They send it to a brand and they get sponsored for the post. So technically, yes, they came to work that day for free.
But they'll get paid.
But then they'll get paid for something else. And I'm like, that's crazy, because technically you've made everyone else work for free and no one's known about it. And actually you've profited off something that everyone thought was a collaboration, and you're sitting there with money in your back pocket.
Yeah. I always think I think it's always good to be clear from the start that this is going to be a collaboration, or, and it is hard. You know, if we do want to progress, or if there's certain things that we want to do, then we are going to have to probably, you know, do it for free. The amount of times I know whether it's something new, something different, something exciting, like I get bored so easily just doing the same thing all the time. And, you know, if I don't step outside that comfort zone, but then I need the experience as well. But then if I work with models and like, hi, like, you know, this is going to be a collaborative thing, but I do work with hair brands who, if I know
they want to
that,
repost it sometimes. And
yeah, but even if it's like, I don't know, a brand that I work with, I'd rather work with a model that I know who's going to work the camera well, who's got good hair, you know, and depending on the brand as well, where the brand might like somebody very girl next door, very commercial. Some brands, they like more of an editorial look. So it's always just me finding the right model to fit that brief as well. So doing those collaborative things, if I already know a model, you know, is going to work well for this, I'm like, perfect. I don't really need to do so much direction, or it just makes my life so much more easier, and it reflects good and bad on me if, you know, if everything doesn't work out for that brand. And
I do think that's where I think sometimes a lot of models, and maybe where agencies can mess up, I think it needs to be reiterated very early on and just continually that if you get rejected from a job, it's not anything on you. It's just you didn't fit that square hole that they needed for that job, and they might book you again. And I think people just take rejection far too harshly. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, especially when you're a model, you are just fitting a brief.
Yeah.
And that is all it is.
That's it.
And sometimes, you know, they just want a blonde hair girl, or sometimes it can just be you as a person. It can be either or, and it just doesn't fit for that exact shoot. And I think I see it in a lot of models where they sit there and they go, why am I not getting any work? Is it something to do with me? And I'm like, it's actually got nothing to do with you. It's just the client didn't want you for that occasion.
Yeah.
And they might want you.
I think sometimes whether it's, depending on what job it is, where you've got like, I don't know, the photographer's suggested somebody, and then maybe the brand has suggested somebody, and then the PR agency or management or whatever, there's so many different opinions of what is going to fit that brief as well.
Yes.
There's just so many different, you know, views and opinions, and which is lovely to have more
sometimes
than
too many chefs in the kitchen there.
Yeah.
Yes, and everyone's got a different view on it as well, because you could I know, especially being a makeup artist, I would look at somebody's face and their features and exactly, whereas I know that Michael would obviously look at the hair and is it going to hold a certain hairstyle, and then obviously with you, with what you do as well, you're going to be like, right, are they going to be able to move in a certain way? And I think everyone is looking from their own perspective, which sometimes can cause a lot of clashes, but then it's kind of really good for it as well, because everyone can then take on other people's viewpoints and you can look at things a little bit differently. Because I think especially that I've learned from working with you guys is that I've looked at things in many different other ways, and not just the way that I used to look at it.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that's just adapting where you've come from. Well, even myself as well, where I worked and trained in salons, but then having the modelling background as well has helped me broaden my mindset, but then maybe assisting people over the years, or doing different jobs, but where I think I know what kind of look that you like, and I know what kind of look that you like, and I think where
we all have our certain look.
We've all got our preferences.
And like, as bad as it is, we just liked an easy day on the job.
Yeah, definitely like an easy day, but just in the way that we want everything to go smoothly. Look, we've definitely had days where things have just gone so well, and then
we're going to say not well. I can think of a few times where it's
then
really not gone well.
There's probably been more days when they've gone not so well, or even things that I know there's been times when I can get very worked up in my head and be like, right, no, that's just not fitting the way that I want it to go, or it's just not working out. But you guys could look at it from a completely different perspective and be like, what are you talking about? I'm not seeing at all what you're seeing. But there's definitely been days when things haven't gone to plan.
We will get back to that, because I do want to also bring up that screenshot that is going around Instagram at the moment.
Yes.
Of, if you haven't seen it, I will insert it in here. But it basically says to normalise same-day payments, stop the 30, 60 or 90, and that, you wouldn't leave your hairdresser without getting paid, or leave the shop.
Imagine going into Zara and be like, sorry, I'll be back in 30 days.
Technically, you can. You
well,
can Klarna.
It's got Klarna.
So technically,
no, I
yes.
know, but still. But okay, but for example, into a hair salon, just because you're going into a hair salon or a beauty salon,
Yeah.
you would never turn around and be like, I'll be back in 30 days to
But
pay
then
you.
I don't think comparing a hairstylist in a salon to a corporate company is the same comparison.
No.
A corporate company is not a hair salon. It's very different. Like, I do agree, 60 and 90 days, get them in the bin. They need to be gone because
Definitely.
you pay your staff at net month. So why are you paying me net 3 months?
Yeah.
Everyone else is getting paid at the end of the month. So I don't mind when companies are like, it's 30 days because you're getting on the end of the payroll at the end of the month. Fine. But when it's 60, 90 days, like me and Michael worked with someone, I think it took 120 days to get paid.
That's just...
They had done 5 other campaigns since our one. And I was like, it's honestly, I forgot about the money at that point. And I think it's a lot easier being a photographer. I can gatekeep imagery and be like, I'm not sending it to you until you pay me. But obviously for you guys, your job is done the second you leave.
Yeah.
So you can't do that. So I do think you guys should definitely be having same day payments.
And then sometimes there's a lot of preparation before, whether, you know, getting certain products in or extensions and things like that. So
No, exactly. It really does. Like, especially if it's like a certain brief and there's certain looks. Like, look, don't get me wrong. I'm very proud of the kits that I have got currently, and I'm very lucky to be gifted and sent from a lot of PR companies and different brands as well. But you don't get to always choose what is gifted and sent to you. And let's say, for example, you get sent over a brief and it's a specific look and it's something which you don't necessarily do every single day, or the last time you did it was like 4 years ago, and you're like, oh God, like, I don't think that thing in my drawer is probably well expired beyond its date. That needs to be gone. I need to go and buy something new. So you've got to go and source those products for it, and you are out of pocket, and then you get paid that many things later that you are even more out of pocket because you've got specific products for this job, and then 2 months later you finally get paid for it, and it's like, oh, that's just great.
Yeah, I definitely think there needs to be, I think it's just same day payments and like 90 days, they're two opposite ends of the scale. There needs to be a nice middle ground. Because technically, I mean, in the UK, you can't chase a late payment or countercourt summons a late payment until 30 days anyway, being a freelancer.
I personally think 2 weeks is a good sort of...
I mean, I think we should all get paid the same day, but I just don't think it's realistic.
I mean, look, I understand 30 days, like at the end of payroll, which is fine.
Yeah.
I think anything beyond 30 days is just not okay. I think that should be scrapped 100%. But I do think like a 2-week kind of thing should be put in place.
I got in a bit of a disagreement with a campaign a while back where once I was accepted on the job, I sent my invoice. So actually, by the time the job came around, I would have got paid the day after the campaign. They're like, but you haven't done the work. I'm like, but we're emailing. I'm working. If you weren't emailing me, I'd be sitting on the sofa watching Netflix. So I'm not charging you for discussing and helping you choose models, helping you choose a studio, picking out light. Those are still billable hours that I don't bill. And I don't think people will appreciate that. Like, if you weren't talking to me, I generally would be doing nothing. I would not be working. Like, doing an email on the sofa is still work, whether it's on the sofa or not.
Netflix and emailing.
I would always rather be watching Netflix than emailing.
I hate emailing. I've always said
quite
that.
like it.
I'm just not an admin person. I just like to do my job when I'm there. I like to talk to people. I like to do the makeup, the admin side of it.
Maybe you need an admin girly.
I actually have, especially with the bridal industry.
So basically, this is now a podcast for Sasha to find an admin girl.
Husband and admin girl.
Anyone want to do my emails in regards to bridal?
Just email hazel@thehughes.talent.com and I'll send them on to her.
I think at the same time, we have to put on so many different heads where if I'm with my client, I have to kind of adapt to, you know, whatever job it is. And then even with like a shoot, or if I'm having to like do the filming and stuff myself, I've got like so many different heads, as in like the filming, the voiceover guy, I'm casting director, all of that. But then even with like emails, I have to sit down at my flat. I have to sit down with a laptop. I can't do it on my phone because I have to really be in the mindset. And even, I don't know, if the brand asks you a rate and things like that, that's a whole...
The negotiation
negotiation on its own. And you have to really think about all the different things where you probably got probably, right, okay, well, I've got to be in this side of London today, and then, or maybe later on that day, you've got so many things of like directions you've got to go, as in,
Yeah.
You're so much more than just a hairstylist.
yeah,
You're
So much
Yeah.
more than that.
and then
You are a whole corporate company, Michael.
yeah, or me, or me. But then it just, yeah, I think that's the thing that people don't see is what, you know, there's more than just that.
Because I think that's where people don't understand. Like, I've definitely got friends. I call them like normal friends. All my friends are normal. It's just they're not in my industry.
9 to 5
Yeah.
people.
And they always say, like, why don't you know you're getting burnt out? And I'm like, I think as well, like, all of that. And also, like, I am nice, but sometimes being like on nice is very different to me being normal. And I come home from work. I don't want to have a conversation with you.
That is something that I'm sure my mum. I am horrible. I just think, especially after a long day. Look, obviously, I do a lot of weddings.
Yeah.
And when you go and do a wedding, you have to kind of be a certain way, but then you also have to tweak it because you've got to read the room. So if you're going to a wedding party and they want you to be extremely high energy
What if
and
you
fun,
don't like them?
and what I mean,
Have you ever had that when you just don't like them?
9 times out of 10, I love everyone that I work with in regards to like brides. I'm very good at reading people, and if you have been a bride of mine, it means I like you because. But there has been occasions where it's not even necessarily been the bride. It can be other aspects of the bridal party. You have to kind of really read the room, and you give a lot of energy to people on a wedding day, which, don't get me wrong, I love being a part of weddings. That's why I still do them. I'm very blessed to be able to still to be as busy as I am with them. But it gives a lot of, people don't realize how much energy it genuinely takes out of you. And I genuinely think that I give more than just being a makeup artist. I help them do so many other things, which is beyond my job role. Like, you help people get into their dress, you get them into your shoes, you help them with the
And
flowers.
I guess as well, you're a little bit of a therapist in the morning
You're a
about wedding
therapist.
day.
You've got to be, if they need you to be calm, you've got to be calm. If they need you to be high energy, and like people say like, oh, you've got such a good energy, you're so fun to be around, which is great, but it does take a lot out of you.
Yeah.
And speaking and kind of not putting on a show, because I am being genuine with everybody, but even if you're having the worst day possible, your client should never know that you are having the worst day possible. So there's been times when I've gone and done some of these, and I've really not been in a good way, either mentally or not been feeling well, but they would never know any difference. By the end of the day, I just want to get into my bed and not speak to a soul. My phone is on Do Not Disturb. My phone is not on my phone. I can't type, I can't speak. My phone is on Do Not Disturb, and do not talk to me. Like, I just want to shut off.
Yeah, so I find it really hard. I've had definitely discussions with people in the past where they're like, oh my gosh, you're jetting off here, you're going here. Like, it's so glamorous. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's probably the nicest part of it, being on a plane. And what you don't see is me running around like a headless chicken, probably crying, not because anyone's done anything.
Little to no sleep as
little
well,
to no,
because it's
and no food.
And no food.
Like, when I was in Paris this time round, I lost weight in not a good way. Do not condone that. I did not eat because I had back-to-back clients, which obviously very grateful for. But it got to the point in the end where I was like, I feel like there's 101 people having conversations in my head. And I don't think people realise. I get everyone go, have you got those photos? Have you got those photos? I'm like, can you just leave me alone for 2 minutes?
Like, just give me a minute. And sometimes you need to just like have a second just to let it load, let it just kind of everything happen.
Have a drink.
And
Have a drink,
technology
and technology
doesn't,
is not your friend.
as we found out earlier on today, technology does not like everyone all the time.
No, 2.5 hours later, we are go.
Our producer's sitting in the background, not even pulling a face. But technology is, like, I had it in Paris where I was doing a PDF and my friend, she'd gone off. She said, do you want to come to dinner? I was like, I really do, but this is more important first. Like, you go ahead, I'll meet you there. I genuinely had plans to meet her there. And then my laptop didn't work, had to do it all. I was then in such a foul mood. And then I felt so bad because I was in such a foul mood with her, and it was nothing even to do with her. And I think that's where I realised I was like, I'm so burnt out because I've been around people 24/7. I've not had my own space. And in the loveliest way, people were being demanding. They didn't mean to be demanding. It's just obviously I was booked to do that job, so they were in
and they want the
every
results
right.
And
yeah.
I mean, I know what I'm like, and I'm not a very patient person.
Well, they were in every right to be in demand. Like when it comes to events, I don't mind people being demanding, because end of the day, you are paying me for a job. You can be in demand. It's fine.
You know me. As soon as you take a picture, let me see.
When we take the cover photo of this, Sasha will want it immediately.
That looks nice. What about me? What about me? No, you want to see it. You just like, I hate waiting around for things. I hate waiting. Like I'm that person that Googles the plot of the film before I watch it. Like I just have to know. Like I'm just not patient.
So basically, you shouldn't do a surprise birthday party for Sasha.
Okay.
No,
never.
That's out
never
the window.
Anyone do any type of surprise for me, because I will find out.
Do you know what?
and
I've
I will
always
know.
wanted someone to do a surprise for me, and they never have. So
Okay, well we've got.
Okay.
A year.
I probably hate it actually, but I've
Well,
always
it's
wanted.
the big one next year, so we'll do
It
a
is
big
my
surprise
30th.
for it.
There we go. So back on topic. One thing I think would be interesting for like the Hughes Group in perspective, obviously both hair and makeup, very different like things you look for model agencies. So if you're booking like just for a social shoot or even a brand shoot, what would you personally both look for in a model agency and a model signed to a model agency?
I'll let Michael go first.
It's a hard one really, because sometimes if I'm working with a brand, they're like, oh, I don't want to go through an agency, but then the agency gives you that security as well as a model of contracts, fees, usage and things like that. But then for me, with models, like I said earlier, it's then fitting the model for the brief.
Yes.
Depending on what the brief is, what kind of model, is going to be girl next door, or you want more, cool girl, editorial, you want someone with textured hair and things like that. So, and then even if you're having to book multiple people, for me, I'd rather work with nice people. I'd rather work people who are going to do a good job, who's going to work well with other people. Whether it's for a hair show, I remember doing a hair show when I was literally on stage, and I didn't hear about it until 2-3 days later that there'd been drama between the models, and I was no. I didn't even know that had gone on. And
yeah, give us the tea.
What was the drama?
So any of my models don't do this.
Yeah, I was annoyed. I was annoyed that no one told me about it until days later, because it was a big thing for me to do. It's my second masterclass that I'd done. And basically I think a model was there and she kind of just ruffled somebody's feathers. You were like, oh, I've done this job, or what are you doing? And I was like, I really can't be bothered, to be honest, with any of that drama. But yeah, basically I just heard through the grapevine, through a makeup artist, and then I spoke to a few people who were in that room at the time, and just said what actually, pinpointed people and be like, right, what did that person say? What did this situation happen? There's just nothing worse when you go into a job and you just want people to get on well. You don't want there to be an atmosphere. And I think that's a good thing with the three of us, that we do know things that are personally going on at the time, or we say, I'm not having a good day today.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll pick up that slack for you, and you'll bring the energy.
Do you feel like a lot of models, like especially when they're signed to bigger agencies, they don't feel as connected to their like agent, and they're like, I think they should be like your mum or like your sister or a friend. Yeah. And I do think so many agencies just like, oh, just having a bad day, okay, whatever, and they kind of seem as a cash cow, in all honesty. Yeah. And that is, I think agencies do forget. I always get this the wrong way around. The model, you work for the model. The model doesn't work for you. Yeah. Yes. Like your best interest should be whatever your model wants. If your model does not want to do X, Y, and Z job, don't put them on the job.
And especially rate wise as well. You want your model to, do the best, or, feel comfortable, or you don't want to put them in a certain situation. You hear so many stories over like the years and stuff, and you just think, gosh, like I can't believe that booker's put you on that job. And
well, it's like we even had a situation where we'd booked a model and the model was not the right fit for the job. while she was an incredible model and also the loveliest
Gorgeous.
person I think I've ever come across, she should not have been put on that job because she did not have the experience for the job that we needed to do, which actually lost us all money because we were doing that for free for a submission. And then I felt really bad being like, it wasn't any, I mean, it was you, but it wasn't actually you because you should have been protected more in that.
Yeah.
It's definitely down to the agency sending the wrong fit
Yeah.
for the job. At the end of the day, there'll be times where that model might have been a better fit for if we were to do something which we could have
I
time
think
to
in
give her more,
studio, perfect.
but like more direction and more
Yeah.
time and actually be able to kind of direct them a little bit more.
Yeah.
Whereas with this specific thing that we did, we didn't have the time and
No.
we weren't able to do the direction as much as we would have done. Whereas if it was in a more intimate studio, and that wasn't down to her because it was down to the agency in that sense.
And it kind of goes down to something that Tara Banks said, you've got to be a head to toe model, not just a head model.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that goes down to the agency. As like an agency personally, I want to have like once a month check-ins with my girls and be like, right, where do we think we can improve you? Where do you think also you could have improvement? Because as a model, unfortunately, your job is to model and you have to be a head to toe model. No one wants to see you in a dress and even though you have the most beautiful face, but you can't position your body.
At the same time, you are good with this where you'll have a brief and you'll have like poses that you want.
I love a mood board.
Mood board and things like that. Not many people do that because there's different types of people. People like visual, people like to see things, or sometimes whenever I work with a model, I probably stand side by side with them. And I'm right, okay, that's my left, that's my right, because some people do forget their left and their right.
To be fair, that happened to me actually. It was the Glamour Wars, and the girl would literally did like the L's in her fingers, and I was like, babe, how old are you? How do you not know your left and right? And she's like, sometimes I just get confused. I was like, I don't think I've ever been confused about that.
I definitely have been confused.
I just don't think that's ever happened time-wise, yeah. Sometimes I look at a clock and I'm like, which one is the right hand?
I think it's always important with like direction, like a model that knows how to be directed. But then it's also so hard as well where if you've got 2 or 3 models, and this is what I was saying earlier, if one's probably going to be more stronger that day, or it could be, whatever you've got, going on that day. Personally,
Oh yeah, we all have our
mentally
own problems going on. Like, I don't think people give everyone enough slack. I think they just think we're machines a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And there's definitely been days where I've turned up and I'm like, I actually don't want to be here. I want to be in bed and I want to be crying my eyes out. But if I do that on set, you're all going to think I need to be checked in somewhere, which also, that shouldn't be a thing. You should be like, what's wrong? My dog is still trying to get into this room. And I do think, I don't know what the correct word really is for it, but I think people have just become, I guess machineries in a sense, where they just think, okay, you get on set, do this, your personality means nothing in a sense, and do your job, and kind of forget the niceness of it all.
I think
sorry to interrupt. I think the phrase is legit work mode. You
Yes.
do go into a work mode, and that is your machine. You go into your work mode, and you have to just kind of forget everything else which is going on, and it becomes a little bit overwhelming.
It's probably why we get burnt out.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think sometimes, especially for us, where before a model goes on set or something, we take on their problems of like, what's happened that day, or, things like that. And, we do take on their problems, and we kind of like, are they okay on set? Or, should we tell the photographer that, they're not feeling their best today? But then
they feel that they can talk to you, especially when you're doing somebody's makeup and they are literally face to face with you and you are that close. Like, I've had it before, like models have literally I can see the tears welling up in their eyes, and you have to kind of just like take a minute, like it's okay. And you do then, you can see, like you think like, how are they going to perform? Like, are they going to suddenly just go into their work mode and just put it aside for a minute and just fake it? Or are they going to really let it affect them? And it's kind of, there's no right or wrong way, but we definitely do take on a lot of that responsibility, because we do kind of, when you're up close and personal with somebody doing hair and makeup, people do feel like they can open up to you, which is obviously really, really lovely. But then you do have the responsibility of being like, okay, do I need to kind of like look after them now?
Yeah.
And before I send them off onto the job,
Yeah,
do I need to pre-warn?
It reminds me of a time I remember quite early on in my photography career. I remember a girl turned up late. I was working with an agency and there was loads of different girls coming through. And this one girl was late. I remember messaging the agency like, hey, she never turned up. Is everything okay? Like, just want to check in. He was like, oh, don't know what's going on. She ends up turning up. She was in absolute tears. I remember thinking, this feels so wrong because this girl is crying her eyes out. Obviously, has been shouted at. And I said to her, let's just leave it. And she's like, no, my manager's going to be really upset with me. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, nothing is more important than how you feel. If you don't feel up to it, let's go for dinner and have a cry about it. Like, also, no offense, you're going to look rubbish in your photos because you're crying your eyes out.
And it's going to have to be redone.
And it's a waste of both of our times. I'd rather sit down and have a conversation with you and go, what's actually going on? And her manager actually ended up meeting us for dinner. And they were just really mean. They're like, you've ruined like all this time. You've wasted the photographer's time. And I was like, that's like not okay. Like, and I think that's where it comes from, like the whole cash cow thing. A lot of particularly mother agents will think, because obviously as mother agent, we earn commission when we sign you to people and when we just get your jobs as well. My dog is going nuts. And
just let him in.
go on, Gwyn. And I think a lot of mother agents, when they've got a lot of people on their board, they do just think, okay, well, if that girl goes to that job, I'm getting this amount of money today. And they kind of forget that person is a literal person with their own problems. And, they might just not want to that day.
Unless they're being a diva and just like
This
they
girl,
can't be bothered.
But then I think there's a difference between being a diva. Then also that goes back to a mother agency. Have a sit down conversation. There's probably a reason. She's probably unhappy about something, or he. Talk about it. Like, it's just weird. Like, I've only ever dealt with one diva, and that was because she was like, yeah, I hate my agent. I don't even want to be here. I feel like I'm forced to be here. And she felt like she couldn't leave a contract, and they didn't want to release her because they earned her money. So there's always a reason why someone's probably being a little bit of a bitch.
Fair enough. We all have our reasons.
We all have a reason, just like my dog has his reasons for being a bitch right now because he can't get in. So I think lastly, we did want to talk about Michael and his modelling career.
What do you want to know? Everything. Oh gosh. Okay.
I do really want you to talk about that situation where you did a big campaign and didn't appreciate like contracts back then, and it's still current. You can still find it, can't you?
Yeah.
I still need to find you in the Superdrug. I haven't found it yet.
Should we go to Superdrug?
Every time I go into Superdrug, I go to the face mask section and look for you. I have not yet to find it. So if
I
you go
see
into
Stacey a lot.
I
see Stacey a lot.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always take pictures of it. I've got like a little folder of friends like out of contract pictures.
Yes, I guess like my story, it's hairdresser by trade, worked in salons, and then I don't know if you guys think you guys know this.
Go on.
I was in pageants.
I didn't know that.
Oh my God, give us a show.
No.
Oh my God, I did not
Did
know
you not
that.
know
I thought you were going to
this?
say you were a stripper, to be honest.
No.
I thought I was going to say something else.
No, you've never told me that you were in pageants.
Yeah.
But like,
Were you the pageant queen?
I was a Mister. I'm not going to say what.
Go on.
But I was in Mr. England.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a male
Yeah.
alternative.
Yeah.
can you show us the pictures? Have you got
We're inserting the pictures if Michael has them.
I'm sure you can like Google them. Yeah.
We're
We
inserting
are.
them. We are going to.
So that's how I got into modelling. So
So how old were you?
I was 19.
And what made you want to be a pageant boy?
So my brother wanted me to be in a pageant with him because he didn't want to be by himself.
And you then stole the limelight.
And then I won the competition. And then I ended up going in Mr. England finals. And I was in Mr. England twice.
Oh my God.
And
Why have you never told us this?
I feel like our whole friendship's a lie.
So, this is what I mean. Like I just feel like, I don't know, even like recently, I've had so many different chapters in my life where I had my hairdressing salon years. Then I had kind of like my modelling, pageant modelling, then kind of now my hairdressing with, myself, influencer celebs, photo shoots and stuff. So yeah, for me, so I kind of fell into the modelling because I did pageants and people were like, oh, you should get into modelling. I was like, oh, I don't know. And I really enjoyed it. And then that's why I moved to London. So I moved to London, I saved up. And even back then it was hard because I had portfolio, but it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't until I basically went to loads of different agencies and they were like, no, it wasn't until one agency was like, you need to go with these particular people to have this photo shoot. And back of the day, it was like $250 for a full day, which is kind of like unheard of. Like it's double that now. Like $250 probably would be just for a few hours, probably
not even an hour.
But I had to, like, literally, as soon as I had those images, that I got signed with other agencies.
Well, it's interesting because I said this to a girl I recently signed. She was like, I want to be on Miami Swim Week. That is my absolute goal. And I went, okay, show me your swim portfolio, and had nothing. And I was like, well, how can you basically need to walk into that audition like you've already got the job. So your portfolio needs to reflect that. So we need to be doing X, Y, and Z to get you a swim portfolio. And then you will get, because you are the perfect girl for Miami Swim Week. But why are they going to book you if they can't see that? You basically need to be like, I've already done it. Which is weird, but you need to make their job easy for them.
Yeah, whenever I would go to castings, and I would have my portfolio, and I'd have literally a pocket of images, and if anybody saw me on the tube, I'd go for, I don't know, a casting for, I don't know, it'd be like a holiday or something like that, like Tui that
good old Tui.
Tui old campaign, still live. I remember going to that casting, and I think I had a previous one before, which I think it was like menswear, like a suit or something. So I'd take out my images and I'd put for a suit or something. It's okay, so I need to look suave. I need to look like, very gentlemanlike and that. And basically I would organise my images, and then I knew that I was going to a different casting. So then I take all of it, keep like one or two just to show variety. This is all like America's Next Top Model. I literally remember.
I love it.
What are they called? Go-sees?
Go-sees, yeah.
They still call them go-sees.
Yeah.
In Cape Town, they call them go-sees still.
Wow.
It's more America.
You going on the train with your big book, looking all flustered. Where do I go?
I think it is just the European thing that we call it castings.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's more in America. That's like if you say casting, it's TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a go-see.
Yeah.
All go-see.
But I would take out my images and I'd put like my smiley ones, or if I'm thinking, okay, well, it's holiday. Okay, so I need to be with, I don't know, somebody else looking like, happy and joyful and things like that. And
give us your best happy look.
Oh gosh.
Go on, please, go on. Give us your best.
Or even just like now, just like the head tilted up, have a little laugh. But I think that's why like it plays a lot with my hairdressing as well, because I know what I want in a way, but then at the same time, as a model, you've got to fit so many different briefs. You've got to fit, the commercial side, if you can do commercial, but then you've got to fit like kind of the quirky editorial. You've got to pose in so many different ways. And I guess where with hairdressing, that's kind of adapted in there. That's how I kind of got into more the photographic side, because I started doing hair for shoots. So I'd work with female models, and then I would then start doing the hair for shoots.
Fine.
And then you already know the photographers and the makeup artists.
It's a networking thing all over again.
It's a whole different. But it's lovely because if you're on a shoot and a big campaign or something, you've got so many different. If you're the model, and you are thinking, okay, well, the photographer's telling you one thing, and then the director's telling you one thing, and then the brand's telling you something different.
That's also bad communication pre-production. They should all be like, the amount of times that I'm on calls and they go, like, if I'm on a campaign, I'm fully aware probably my creative freedom non-existent. I'm literally but to do. I'm a little monkey for you basically, and if they say copy this, I'm copying that because that is what they want. I'm not their brand. But then I'm also where I've been on other shoots where they'll be like, I've seen like where the social girls get involved, and I'm like, that works for an iPhone, but it doesn't work for a professional camera. There was a particular shot we did for one campaign, and I was like, she looks great, but we're not selling the product we're here to sell. It's great for an iPhone pic or a TikTok, but it's not good for what we're here for.
Yeah, definitely. But I think as well, part of your modelling really helps you. I think you're so good at directing models. I think I've definitely learned a lot from you over the years, like how to direct and how to, like, even getting them to like move in a certain way, like especially when it's beauty and when we do film content and film makeup videos, the way that your face should look when like the camera hits and you're in makeup, it's the way with application as well, like everything's like a light soft and movement, anything which is sharp, and
it's like what Tyra Banks used to say, literally you've got to flow into the next one.
Like if it's camera, like, and even I say to some people who are going to red carpet for the first time, I'm like, right, they've taken that shot, okay, so they've done that angle, okay, that angle, every time a lens goes, the flash literally move, but just subtle changes. It could be that your eyes could be there, but your eyes need to be there. But then I think sometimes where we all know, if you've got e-com girls, they're so quick.
They're
so
incredible.
sometimes you have to be like, I'd be like, right, so I really want you to slow down, but then sometimes you have to actually you actually have to really control the way your voice and that as well, where if you want them to look over your shoulder, but then look, body positioning as well. Like you could say, look over your shoulder and look.
It's all
crack
sudden, it's like a whiplash.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's better when they have a little bit too much movement than not enough movement. You don't want them to be a
But then from a photographer, our flash is not quick enough, and then all the shots we're taking are like, and it's like, that's lovely.
It's finding a happy medium between it, because you do not want a model which is like completely stiff and like no movement, no change, nothing, because everything is going to look exactly the same. But if it's too quick, then you can miss it. So it's finding that kind of like,
and also
nice
everyone is so
medium
different.
Yeah,
so different.
100%.
And like, I think with your experience, like, what would you say to an agency, how we can, like an agency and like a hairdresser or an agency and a makeup artist can like have a better relationship? So do you think that is probably, I think it's not normally you guys booking, I guess.
Yeah, I think for me, when I probably do like 1 or 2 jobs a year now, but that's because
he's retired.
But I'm like 2-3 stone heavier than what I was, and I was getting booked like 3 or 4 times a week.
You're so handsome. You can get lots of jobs.
Everyone.
But I think for me, it's more that. But then it depends on the person as well. Me as a person, I'm on to the next thing, or what's the next. And I think it's having that communication with the agency to be like, right, I don't want to be doing that, but can you help me with this? Or when I was modeling, even if I wasn't working, I wanted to do test shoots, but I'd only want to do test shoots that are going to benefit me, because I've got loads.
That is a very big thing. Sorry to interrupt you. Like, I see so many agencies put models on test shoots, and I'm like, what is this? It's actually not favouring the book at all. And I think that's why it's interesting with me, because I'm a photographer, I know what a good photo should be. And there are so many photographers or content creators out there that are incredible, but they're not right for that model. They're just doing it for social content. And I say to models, you shouldn't be doing it, because it's great for them. What's it benefiting for you? You're just getting some content. You might get some more engagement. I ain't going to get you a job.
Yeah. No. I think you both know with me, I'll always, if I've got a model in my seat, I go through their portfolio and think, okay, well, you've already done that hair look, you've already done that hair look, you've already done that hair look.
We need to do something different.
Yeah, we're going to do something different. How can we change this up? How can we elevate it? Or how can we book you a different job? But that's my modeling head. But then that's also because I don't want to be doing the same thing all the time, because it gets boring. There's certain models that we want to work with, that we want to give them that, bombshell, Hollywood, Victoria's Secret, big blowout, whatever. And they suit that amazing. But at the same time, it's kind of, you want to elevate them more. But then I guess that's me. I want to deliver that for their portfolio to then give that back to their agency as well.
It's like, we've got a shoot coming out with a girl I've just signed, Dominica, love you. And I'm actually speaking to her later after this. And I said, we need to do a shoot where she's just natural beauty, because she's not got any of that. And she is the most gorgeous girl. But once again, as I said, people won't book you for that because they can't see it on your book. Second they sit in your book, they're like, oh my God, who knew that this girl could do this? It's like, I did. It's just you didn't see it because you're you're looking, is it rose tinted glasses?
Limiting the...
narrow view.
Yeah.
Tunnel vision. What is that?
Tunnel vision. We got there, babe.
But yeah, and I think it does, as you're saying, like, it's really good to show different looks. They can be versatile. But also these different looks, sometimes they don't suit them. Like the amount of times I see models do a look and they're like, I just really wanted to do it. And I'm like, you shouldn't. And I mean this politely, because it's not working. Like, it's not every look's going to work for you, and that is absolutely fine. You need to find your niche and run with it, because that's how you're going to make your money.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm very happy with my niche of my sort of specific style of what I do, but I do want to push myself, and I do try to push myself to try new things, but kind of take something a little bit different and make it my own. Because look, there's so many amazing artists out there that have got different styles, and I never want to copy another person's style. I want it to be, I want people to look and be like, they can see that it's my work. But I still want to try new things and do different things. And I think working with different types of models as well, because I would always kind of choose the same type of look.
I guess it's also familiar.
It's familiar. Why can't I say these words? Familiarity.
Say it with me. So
Fam.
Mill. Leah. Familiar.
There we go. Anyway, that.
It's now a speech podcast.
But it's kind of almost in a rut, and you do something which you know you're so good at, and you do it over and over again. Whereas now I'm trying to branch out a little bit more to choose a different type of model, or a different type of job, or a different type of season. Just something different. And I think it might be scary.
Every day's a school day, as I say.
Just trying new things, trying new styles. I think it's good for models to try new things, as well as all different creatives. I think it's good to kind of dabble in a few little things. I think it's good just to kind of change up a little bit sometimes.
And I think models as well, they do appreciate people's input to a degree, as of like, oh,
yes.
You know what, I actually want to try something different. Oh, okay. You know, and they trust you. They see your work, and they're like, oh, do you know, I think whatever you do is going to look amazing on me, or whatever. And you look at their face shape, you know, look at the clothing as well, what they're wearing.
I think that's working the professional in general.
Yeah.
Like, so many people will just go, we're going to do this because this is what we want to do, but they don't appreciate that they probably have 100 ones of that in their book. But before we wrap up, is there anything else you guys want to add, speak about? But make it quick, because this has been long.
Just ramble again.
Anything you want to say, Michael?
No, I've generally overly enjoyed it all. I think it's always good that we always have these conversations anyway, but I think it's always good to share it as well.
We do always have these conversations, but maybe not as PG.
Yeah, and we're not gatekeeping here, so because loads of people love to gatekeep. But I think that is it for today, guys. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for having us.
See you later.
Bye.